Hi, welcome to the Unsecurity Podcast. We have conversations to give you insight and inspiration to elevate security efforts. We're your hosts. I'm Brad Nye.
And I'm Megan Larkins. On this podcast, we feature experienced Infosec peers as we dissect major issues within the industry. Here's Unsecurity. Welcome back to another episode of Unsecurity Podcast. I'm joined today by Brad, as usual, and Jo from our consulting department. Welcome, Jo.
Thank you for having me.
We're super thrilled to have Jo, who, among other things, is known for delivering our information security news on a near weekly basis in a collaboration with Marcus as well. And so we're looking forward to kind of letting you guys get to know her a little bit more, as well as talk about the news and kind of some of the trends and patterns and other things that she's observed through doing the security news for the last year or so.
Yeah. And to be clear, just for the listeners, the security news is on project-hyphy.com. So it's that weekly email of curated news articles. So this is the magic behind that.
That's right. So before we get started, I'll pick on Brad first in case, Jo, you need any more time to think about it. But Brad, what you been up to lately?
I got a new thing for Christmas for my kids. So it has LEDs and like 28 inches tall. So
is that one of those like paper cardboard foam model rocket ship? Space shuttle?
It's similar to the
that one is
Queen Anne's Revenge above me. So it's just the space shuttle.
Sweet. Oh, that looks awesome.
That does look cool.
How about you, Jo? What you been up to lately?
Well, I've spent the last 5.5 years reading textbooks, but I don't have to read them for a little while. So I have actually gotten to catch up on TV. I love watching TV series. It's crazy. So I really love watching TV. That's what I'm going to do this weekend.
Do you mind sharing what series you're into or most excited about right now?
I decided, my favorite series of all time is Survivor. I love Survivor. I've watched every single episode and then some. And to me, it is the best social engineering show on the planet. It is so fun. And so I just finished season 49. I'm excited to start, when season 50 comes out. 50 seasons.
Wow. Thank goodness they're not doing one a year, right? It's not
right. They do 2 a year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
25 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And lately I have decided that I wanted to start NCIS over again, and largely because of Abby's lab in the show.
Oh yeah.
And the cyber forensics that McGee does. And to watch it from when it started in season 1 to see it, all of that evolve in that show, it has been pretty fun.
That sounds fun. There's something special about seeing cybersecurity in your field on TV coming up. I don't know if Brad remembers, but I know a random show I was watching, they had an episode that started off with a cyber breach, and I was all excited. I was like, oh my gosh, that guy just clicked phishing. The dramatization, the music is awesome.
I was watching, I don't remember what show I was watching, but it was a cyber attack, and they're like, the attacker's IP it was like 453 dot something to start. It's like, that's not how it works.
They just made up a random number. What do you mean that there's patterns to these things? Something.
It bothered me.
One of my favorite ones was called Persons of Interest, and it came out, I believe, in 2010, and it was all about AI. And wow, that was really good. I wasn't real thrilled about the ending, but watching it up to that was really great. And of course, always Mr. Robot. There's always Mr. Robot.
Mm-hmm. I haven't watched all of those, but I watched the first season or two, and they were pretty exciting.
Hey, I'm going to mark. Your audio just dropped completely, Megan. I can barely.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, there you go.
Oh, okay. Must have had a glitch.
Okay. So yeah. Anyway, Joe, you curate the news. So tell us a little bit about what that process looks like on a weekly basis, so that we get to those final 5 to 10 articles that go out to our clients or to anyone who subscribes.
Yeah, it's a lot of reading articles. I usually like to capture the ones that catch my attention or catch my eye, and I note them. But really, I am going through over 75 websites, and I'm just perusing them. I'm going through them, seeing what is eye-catching, what I want to read, and then I capture that. And then from there, I start narrowing it down, like what is the same, how many are in the same industry, what's kind of the same topic, things like that. And then I start trying to find an article and keep it to like one thing. But I like to have the chain reaction articles that go with it. So even though it might be something a little bit different, it's kind of the same, but still it's relevant. So it takes the work.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sit in on a lot of the, helping out with a lot of our BCSO calls. Does what you hear in those calls and the technology, does that play into how you choose the articles at all? Or is it just whatever you think is going to be the most relevant for the broadest audience?
A lot of it too, it does come from, being in those meetings, being in those conversations, also being in the assessments and getting that perspective from it. That it does kind of impact where I find my articles. Do the clients, are they utilizing this tool? Do a lot of our clients utilize this tool? And if they do, or if I see that, for example, Cisco routers, right? How many clients use Cisco routers? So when there's a flaw like that, and I know it's going to impact a high majority of clients, then maybe I'll definitely put something like that in.
Awesome. What do you enjoy about the news? I know you said you love doing it.
I do. Okay. At first, I'll be honest. It felt like this was a task that no one really wanted. It was kind of the thing that fell to the bottom. But it was also something that did need to be done. And it wasn't anything that everyone was lining up to do. So I decided early on that I would take it serious. And I started paying attention to not only just the articles that caught my eye, but also to the colleagues that I had that were sending me articles that, what they were reacting to in the news. And so that also adds to my curating or my collecting with articles every week. And then I'd start to rearrange them a little bit, kind of how they flow. But I was really nervous at first, putting myself out there like that. But kind of over time, I feel like, I've grown into it. And it's not just about collection. It's now about the curating. It's not just checking that box. It's, really putting into thought that intention of what I thought was worth sharing. Mm-hmm. And, what do I want everyone to walk away with? What patterns am I seeing that I think matters? What will capture the room's attention? And then going into, realizing that how far those collections of my articles or our articles, how far they traveled. So I was like, wow, okay. Cause they get shared up and down across, sometimes beyond anywhere I expect. And then hearing a lot of the reactions of how they appreciate it, how the news is presented. It just, especially in our company-wide meetings, it really honestly has been heartwarming to me, because there is that level of intention that goes into that. And so knowing that it's appreciated does kind of spur that motivation.
Yeah, I can imagine, how nerve-wracking that was because you're relatively new to the industry, and then you're presenting news articles to an entire organization of security professionals and salespeople. I can see that being a little bit unsettling at first until you get used to it.
It was.
Well, you've totally crushed it. And yeah, I guess you mentioned it a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of how we do the security news here is we've done it for many years because it's valuable to our employees. Everyone's busy with their work, just like executives and IT directors are at all of their companies. It's like not everyone always has time to go and kind of digest the news and understand what it is. So to have someone like yourself have that time to be able to go look out, see what's valuable, see what's new and out there, and then bring it up kind of like almost like listening to a podcast, but it's on our Monday meeting, right? And it's been even more fun now that it's kind of been opened up to conversation with the whole company. I know it was a smaller group of us for a while and then opened up even larger, which has been good. And sometimes, you can tell everyone's tired and drained and it's kind of crickets and not a lot of commentary, but they're still glad that you're there to present it. And other times you get some pretty rambunctious commentary and conversation and back and forth going on around it.
Yeah, I love listening to the team discuss, have their input, make those discussions because, they're showing their perspective of what they're seeing in their days. And I think, collaborating that I think is so neat. I love it. I absolutely love it when everyone, pipes in on the discussion, and I'm not always sure what to say or what to add. But it's great. It really is great.
I think the biggest burning question is, you're probably reading more, or let me rephrase it, you're tracking and more organized with your reading of the articles than probably anybody. What are the trends, the biggest trends in the last year that have just nothing official, just nothing, we're not going to hold you to it. What caught your eye? What did you see that made you go, I'm seeing a lot more of this?
I started to see, it wasn't really, I don't know, dramatic. It wasn't really just starting, just one article, one big headline. I was kind of looking for more of the quieter stuff. And some of the trend that I saw was really in retail and how the attackers are starting to move towards retail a lot and how many breaches there were.
Interesting. Yeah, we always hear about the healthcare or banking, but I guess, now you mentioned it, there was that really big one in Britain last year. It shut down one of their big retailers, and makes sense.
Yeah, that
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Mark and Spencer, I think the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was huge. And then some of the scarier ones that affected transportation and critical infrastructure, water plants or treatment plants and meat production plants, things like that. Those are kind of the scarier ones. So a lot of it is supply chain logistics. And it looks like, the trend that I saw is that the attackers weren't necessarily going after one particular target. They were going after the vendors of the target.
Yeah. I think that definitely tracks with what we're seeing and also with what the new regulations are coming out where third-party risk management is, and supply chain are so getting such an emphasis now. I was just reading an article earlier today that there was a VMware exploit that had been exploited for over a year before it was detected by Chinese nation state. It's scary how, you just don't know.
Yeah. I think you were saying something to that effect earlier, Jo, too, of we're watching tools and compliance and the attackers are watching behavior. So it is a different mindset. It's kind of hard to get into that unless you're trying to think like an attacker and how they might approach your environment differently than you might think to protect it, because you're protecting it based off of what prior attacks have happened at other places or even your own place. You're not necessarily thinking of the creative new other ways that no one's thought of yet, but the attackers, that's exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, you get that sense of seeing where, what's heading on your doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we've said it, I don't know how many times. It's hard you're always playing from behind. That's the good guys, right? We have rules and laws that we follow that they don't care about.
Yep.
Nope. And a lot of times the articles, they're not always trending, right? But they tell you a lot. And they kind of show you where the stress is building. And sometimes they show you where organizational defenses are thin. Mm. And then also, how the attackers are experimenting, like they're merging, they're collaborating, they're finding different tools instead of just the ransomware. Now it's ransomware as a service,
right?
And you can get your basic or you can get your premium.
Yeah, it is crazy that it is a business at this point.
Yeah,
service centers and everything. Well, so I mentioned it earlier. You're relatively new. Tell us a little bit about your journey into information security. What brought you into wanting to work in this field and work with FRSecure?
Well, I didn't always know I wanted to go into information security, but I have come from the gaming industry. I've been dealing blackjack, dealing cards since the late 90s. And I've been in that industry for quite a while. And I started working with them and gaming security, and helping teach or train dealers how to protect their games. Mm. Well, in 2020, every single casino shut down. They went dark. And that made me stop and think a little bit. Maybe I should change my direction. So I decided to go back to school, and I didn't know what I wanted at first. At first, I thought I wanted just IT, and then it became beyond that. I found my very first paper was ransomware from a fish tank in a casino. And I was hooked after that.
Yeah.
I mean, that just hook, line, and sinker.
Nice.
So, and I just studied everything I possibly could, trying to get my hands on everything that I could. I joined networking groups. I have a bunch of women that this group that I joined. It used to be called Women Who Code. That is kind of disbanded. But I'm still very good friends with those women. And also doing competitions, I learned how to do CTFs. And that was really cool. I learned all about digital forensics. And then on top of that, I got to go to Washington, D.C. and get recognized for that kind of work. And I went, wow, this is really cool. Never in a million years did I think this blackjack dealer was going to go to Washington, D.C. for that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But it was really that networking, the Women Who Code. That's how I met Amber and in our HR, and started that conversation with her. And then I got to chat with Megan, and then I got to chat with Ryan, and here I am.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Well, and I think so many stories getting into information security are fun and interesting, but yours is definitely at the top of the pile, especially changing mid-career, going from gaming, which has its overlaps. I'm kind of interested to ask you a little bit what you've noticed and observed between the gaming industry that you were in, well, still are in, and information security with the work that you do with us now.
You can never discount someone's intentions, motivations, or capabilities. Mm-hmm. And that it was one of the biggest similarities that I found with the attacks being in this industry versus, someone at a blackjack table saying, oh, I'm not cheating.
A lot of social engineering going on, I would imagine.
That too. Except most of the time in this industry, most people are sober.
that would probably, maybe.
Does that make it easier to catch? Or say, as a blackjack dealer, you have to face those threats much more face on. You can't just kind of investigate in a lab and be like, that activity log looks suspicious. Let me go figure out what it is at a distance. You're face to face with that person that you may or may not be trying to take one over on you.
Yeah, and being that face to face instead of in a little box.
Well, and I would imagine the physical security part of it is probably one of your strengths, I would think, because there is so much around that in the casino.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. For a blackjack dealer, believe it or not, every move that we make, there is a reason why we move that way.
Mm.
There's a reason why we clear our hands. There's a reason why we deal a card the way we do. There's a reason why we count chips the way we do. There's a reason why we lay cash out the way we do. Every house is different, of course, but at the end of the day, there is a reason why, and it is game protection. Mm-hmm. And I'm very passionate about that.
Huh. Very cool.
Maybe some lessons that we can learn and take into information security too. Because when you're protected behind the screen and the keyboard, sometimes it feels like so much is going on. It's like, well, maybe be a little more intentional on what you're doing, what you're protecting. Don't just let something slide by, because that's how breaches happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes the whole see something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
How have you seen that evolve over the years?
You mean the users alerting or reporting? I think it's gotten better overall. It's gone from the shaming or the fear of being shamed if you're wrong. So you report something that isn't a problem. Why would you send this to me? And it's gotten a lot better of, I know I've always said this. As IT, I would rather spend 5-10 minutes looking into something and saying, nope, you're all good, but thank you for being diligent about it, than having a breach or trying to go back and put together the pieces weeks later. So I think we've gotten better at, carrot, not the stick.
Yeah.
And even when users, we preaching to the choir, I know, but even if a user clicks on something, it's like, well, if you click on it and then realize, say something. And I don't know, I know some, and I don't think they're very good, but I have very few security people or IT people are going to be like, you did what? They're going to be like, okay, let's fix it and stop it before it becomes a problem. Thank you for admitting and telling me what you did. So I think the messaging from security has changed, and that's helping the broader user base feel more comfortable with saying something.
The frequency of attacks and everything hopefully has changed most organizations' mindset around it to being like, hey, yeah, they are really tricky and always trying to get you, and we're human and mistakes are going to happen. You're going to miss something at some point. Do your best not to, but yeah, staying away from that shaming is so important, because otherwise you're more likely to hide it or say, well, maybe that was nothing. It's probably not worth bringing up, versus, oh crap, I better report this just in case, to be on the safe side, because I'd rather, talk to my IT department than my director when things have gone a lot more wrong.
Yeah.
So
I have one company that has really, I think, turned the corner on some of that stuff, and they were, do the training, do the stuff. It's your job, as opposed to, and now what they do is they put, if you report every phishing test as, click the fish button over the course of the year, 1 a month, so 12 times, you get your name put into a hat for a $200 gift card at the end of the year. They had over 100 people, 120 something people that qualified for that, which is fantastic. Like that's how you increase engagement.
We lost Brad for a second. I'm like, is it me or you? That qualified for the gift card, I guess. That's what he's meaning to say. Oh,
that's
I think
a lot of people.
There we go.
Is
it back?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So they had 120 qualify for the drawing.
That's super awesome. Well, it looks like Brad's connection is still a little unstable, but that's probably a pretty good place for us to wrap up anyway. It's been super fun having you on, Jo, and getting to talk to you. And I don't know, I'm just thrilled to have you join us. It's been a pleasure to have you as a member of our team, to get to know you, to even just meet this lady who came from the gaming industry and wanted to get into information security, and how enthusiastic you've been. You've brought a new perspective that makes all of us better, and it's super awesome. So we're glad to have you. Do you, as we wrap up with our expressions of gratitude, do you know who you want to pass gratitude on to, or shall we pass it to Brad first?
We'll pass it to Brad first.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and get it to my wife and son. He's been having some struggles on the personal side and working through it. And so it's just been great to have that support and hopefully get things straightened out.
Yeah, hopefully things keep going smoothly, and all the kudos in the world to your little boy. Let's see. I'll give gratitude to, I'm trying to think, who haven't I reached out to lately? I mean, there's so many people that I interact with all the time, but I think to kind of just the leadership team that I work with, I appreciate it. It was even just a pleasure talking with our assessor team this week and sharing some of the data about where we're coming from, where we're going to be trying to go, but the transparency that we always try to have here. And that includes to my level, like managers can't always share everything about what they're thinking about. But I know that they do the best that they can to share as much information as they can about where we're at, where we're going, so that I can share better information, likewise with my team and the people that have questions for me. So I appreciate that, and everything they've done to support me as we go.
Very nice. Yeah, wow. You really have done some amazing things, Megan, and it's been much appreciated.
Thank you. How about you, Jo?
My shout out is going to go to my kids. They have they have put up with their mom with a lot of stuff over the last 5.5 years, with going back to school and learning a new thing and putting a lot of time and effort and discipline into that. And they are my reasons why. So
very nice.
Shout out to them.
Well, awesome. Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. We don't have it specifically scheduled, but I believe we're kind of leaning toward our next episode being a predictions episode. I'm putting together kind of a recap of, or a review of last year's predictions that we had Oscar and Evan on the show for. And so I think we want to do a little bit of a new predictions, a recap and new predictions. I don't know if we'll have guests to do that or just swing it ourselves yet. We'll figure that out before the next time, but there's something for our audience to look forward to. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.